Hi everyone, welcome back to Third Coast Gaming Impressions. Today is June 6th, 2021. It is episode 30. We are back after last week. We got E3 coming up. But before that, I am joined by my co-host Austin Taylor. Hello.
Howdy.
How's it going? What's going on?
Nothing much. Finished up Gundam.
How's the movies? How's life? How's the vaccination? Are you going out? Yeah. Did you get some food? No. Still the same. Hey, as it turns out, we might be creatures of habit.
Well, I mean, it just comes from the fact that vaccination does only so much.
This is true. But who needs to go outside when you've got video games, as it turns out?
People wanting a sort of healthy balance in their lives, mostly.
I'll just go hiking by myself. I'll catch a cold from a deer and then I'll wrestle with it. And then I'll go hang out with Joe Rogan in Austin.
I don't think you should wrestle a deer, Travis.
What about an elk? What if I took some DMT and
definitely
fought
not
an elk?
elk.
Got to get my elk meat, you know. I'm gonna move to Austin, and I'm gonna go hang out with Joe Rogan and do some DMT because he lives there. It'll be a good time.
I think I don't know. I don't know if it'd be a good time. I think Joe Rogan would mostly sort of wonder who's this strange man who just showed up on his probably several hundred acres of land.
It's true. I'm his new podcast guest, and I didn't tell him about it. I'm like, you got to interview me, man. I got a story.
His new permanent co-host.
Or I'll be
along with the Joe Rogan experience.
Yeah, or I'll be Jamie telling him about how video games are cool, and he'll just like write me off. Or he'll tell me to Google something, be like, no, that's the wrong article. You got to Google something else. I'll be like, okay, Joe. Whatever you say. Enough with the bad jokes. E3 is June 12th through 15th. There's a couple things before it too, but what's the 12th? The 12th is Saturday next week. I blanked out the last week because I've been working, so I've completely forgot. So I'm very excited. What All right, Austin. Before we go into the schedule, which of these are you most excited about? Which of these got the games for you?
I mean, none really. Like I'm not particularly excited for much. I think is going to come out of E3. I think Bandai Namco, if there's anything for Elden Ring, that's maybe where it would be. But as long as I assume that they're publishing that.
Yeah.
But there's not a whole lot. I mean, maybe the Xbox and Bethesda showcase will finally give us like a good intro video to Deathloop, so that way people can stop asking, "What's Deathloop?"
That game's coming out soon too, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean it's coming out this year.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm excited for the Xbox One as well. Maybe we'll get some more Infinite stuff because that's supposedly holiday season. I was just curious if they were gonna announce some like, hey, this is coming to Game Pass today. Those are my favorite ones. I got 3 months of Game Pass for $1, so I'm in. I'm back, baby. I'm back downloading these games. I want the Square Enix one is the one I'm excited about. I want to see see what else they got for Final Fantasy 16 if they do end up showing that off. And I know they're gonna have that maybe that Dark Souls Final Fantasy game that's like set in the universe of the first Final Fantasy. That'd be cool. Yeah, rumored, yes.
Yeah, that could be something. I don't know, from like Square. I think the closest I can muster, like, anything close to excitement would probably be like Life is Strange.
Yeah. Or I could, if they tease another Kingdom Hearts, I'd be really into that. But, as the track record goes, you can't put out Kingdom Hearts on modern consoles. You have to wait every 7 years before it comes out and skip a generation. So
we can't get another Kingdom Hearts.
No. They gave us one already. Yeah.
We got 3. That 3 is supposed to be the end of it.
Oh, for that trilogy, they have another trilogy after that. I think they want to do the
Oh,
Verum Rex stuff from
oh
the Toy Story,
no.
like part of Toy Story 3 level, to where you
It,
go into like the modern day Japan is what was going on there, or it might be something else. Who knows? They're probably, if my guess is correct, they did it a little bit in 3. They were getting away from the Square Enix characters. Like there was barely any Final Fantasy stuff in that game. So this new trilogy might only be Disney, or it might only be like, some Verum, whatever the Verum Rex stuff, which is like closer to what like there's like a side by side of one of those, like it's like the secret ending and like an old Final Fantasy 15, Final Fantasy 13 Versus trailer. So there's like some ideas that might be from like 13 Versus or something going on in this. Some stuff. Who knows?
yeah, let's just assume I followed any of that
Yes.
and say
Let's
yes.
let's assume nobody followed that. Even the people listening. Capcom always surprises and delights me with whatever stuff they come out. I know apparently officially they have the Great Ace Attorney Collection, Monster Hunter Stories 2, and Resident Evil 4 for Oculus, but and Pragmata, that I think that's that PlayStation exclusive where it's like weird astronaut dude. But
Yeah.
that'd be cool. All right, let's go through the breakdown. Let's break it down. Saturday, June 12th, we got Ubisoft for some. They're probably going to talk about their free to play stuff and maybe some updates for like For Honor, Watch Dogs, The Crew 2. And maybe they'll have some Rainbow Six Quarantine stuff. Werewolves Within is a movie they're making. That VR
That
game.
that seems fun. I think Worlds Within could be fun,
Yeah.
but I don't know. The rest of this is like you already threw out like 16 minutes of Far Cry gameplay. So
Which
what else
is
do
now
you have?
political. That Far Cry is now political. That can confirm.
I, I mean, there's something to be said, but about like that statement coming out, but it's we can say that for later.
Yeah, we can say that for later.
A
Next
little
up,
preview.
a little preview. Let's
And
see.
there's
We
Gearbox.
Gearbox. There's some rumors about like a XCOM Marvel game, which could be cool. I could be into that. Sounds neat. And then some like Borderlands side thing, but that's Saturday. Yep, that's Saturday still. I don't
Yeah.
have a time for it, but
No one has the time for
no
it.
one has the time for Gearbox.
I follow no one has the time for like most of these things. Like I follow a lot of like several journalists on Twitter who like for the last week were just like we need the times for these things. And you have times for a few, but like a good amount of them are just like they're happening on these days. We couldn't tell you
Tell
when.
me when this happens so I know when to do my video or
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 when I can
let's try to article. Yeah.
yeah, when we can
Um,
publish write-ups.
hmm See, there's a PC gaming show on Saturday at that's Sunday actually. Sorry, Sunday at 11:45 a.m. Eastern, 8:45 Pacific. And then yeah, Sunday also has Microsoft, Square Enix, Warner Brothers, and 24 Entertainment, whatever that could be. Yeah, Microsoft Bethesda starts at 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific, and streaming on Twitch, YouTube, Facebook. Most of these are. That's one I'm excited about. Some Xbox stuff. Square Enix is after that at 3:15 p.m. Yeah, so they got that Life is Strange True Colors, Life is Strange Remastered Collection, and Black Panther War for Wakanda. I don't know what that is.
That's an expansion
Is
to
that
the
the expansion
Avengers.
for Avengers? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, expansion for Avengers right after. Platinum's Games Babylon's Fall. I've never heard of that. I don't know
Yeah,
what
this
that
was
is.
like we got a trailer for it like I think 3 years ago at this point. at one of Square's E3
Oh,
presentations,
this looks
and
cool.
it seemed like, yeah, aesthetically it seemed interesting. Like it looks like kind of like high mythic level, like kind of Final Fantasy aesthetic stuff happening there. But
Yeah, and a little bit of Babylon's Fall. Dante with 2B's swords and a legion. I don't know what that means. Are you summoning people to help you?
I
Why
don't
do they
know.
say
They've
legion? I don't
they've
get that.
given us so little.
Yeah, they've given us so little. All right, let's see what else I got on the docket. All right, Monday.
Monday.
Monday is Capcom, Take-Two, Mythical Games, Fruiting Games, and Razer. Okay, so Sony not showing anything.
Yeah, Sony's not involved in this
No,
in E3.
they got Ratchet and Clank coming out soon. They're probably gonna have a PlayStation thing after this, so they can like have this time to them to be the only people on the like news feed and stuff. Capcom Take-Two. Capcom's got, yeah, I was talking earlier, Great Ace Attorney Collection, Resident Evil 4 for Oculus, Pragmata, and then whatever else we may or may not see. Apparently they have more Resident Evil games planned, according to a leak, which wouldn't surprise me. And Take-Two
Yeah,
will have a showcase. No idea when. They haven't put out a time yet.
it's just what does I mean, Take Two publishes a lot, right? Like they do. I'm
It's
just
just
trying
a
to think of
trailer
something they
for
could show.
GTA 6. It's just going
It's
to be
not.
GTA, and it's going to have the number 6, and they're going to not show anything
Yeah,
else.
it'll be the Elder Scrolls, like the Elder Scrolls 6
Yeah.
sort of title card treatment.
And then it'll say
Could be
20XX,
2024.
and it'll be Red Dead 4, Red Dead 3, Red Dead 4, the third game. Red Dead 4, Redemption 3. Yep.
It'd just be the third game.
Yeah, it'll just
Actually,
be it.
it would be the fourth game because
Yeah.
of Red Dead Revolver.
Mm-hmm.
Never mind.
Deep cuts there. Deep cuts. Bandai Namco. They don't have a date. They don't have a time yet. I skipped over. This is
The
Tuesday.
Nintendo Direct.
Yeah, Direct and
Yeah.
Treehouse Live. This is June 15th. Nintendo Direct is 12 p.m. Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific. Apparently it's going to be up for about 40 minutes. They're only going to talk about software. They're not talking about the Nintendo Switch Pro, which has gone through like its wave of leaks like the last week. Who's the one showing off? Was it like it was like Amazon Spain or something? I don't remember who it was. Amazon Mexico had those listing that they pulled down right after. Do you know what I'm talking about?
I mean, no. The article I have on hand that's in our doc is the fake leak, like the fake look at a Switch Pro.
Yeah, and I think there was like a I remember it was like a couple days ago. It was like someone had put up a listing and taken it down. It had a bunch of details in it. Let's see. Thursday, July 22nd, EA Play Live. Ready for more Battlefield, I am.
Just waiting like more than a month afterwards is interesting. Like I get a week. I'm not. I'm interested in like what the logic of like waiting a whole other month is.
Yeah.
I mean, it could just be getting stuff ready.
Yeah, who knows? It's just EA doing different stuff. Alright. So yeah, this is like that. Ooh, I've got something going on in the back of my monitor.
Oh.
This next thing I got is that this is like a fake Switch thing that someone like rendered out. But supposedly could look like this. This is off comicbook.com from June 4th. It's got like a there were rumors of it having like a better stand that you're putting it up onto, not just like the little kickstand behind it. And it looks like maybe the Joy-Cons on this could be a little bigger. And then there was like another. Let me see if I can find it really fast on Google. Let's see.
Yeah, like
Who put it
the
out
images in
there?
this article like specifically are like 3D renderings of what like artists think a Switch Pro could look like. None of this is these are not like leaked images of a Switch Pro.
Correct. Correct. Yeah, I don't remember who was leaking that stuff. But I don't know. There's rumors that it's like gonna be like, not talking about the article I have in there, but it's just like rumors are it's gonna be like $399. It's gonna be 4K when you hook it up to a TV, like an OLED screen, all the kind of stuff we've been hearing lately about it.
I mean, I would be surprised if Nintendo like prioritized 4K.
Yeah, I would be surprised too, but that's how most TVs are coming out right now. So that's kind of what people are expecting, and that's what like the rumors have been like heading towards. Which we got 4K with like the PS4 Pro and the One X to like a certain degree as well. Probably not going to be called the Super Switch, which maybe they're saving that for the Switch 2 or something.
Just mm, maybe they could. I don't
Yeah,
think that would be a smart idea. I
yeah,
think they should just start using numbers. I would hope they would learn their lesson from the Wii U.
yeah. What about the Wii U 2? That's my favorite second generation of a console. We had a couple game announcements. You threw some trailers in here. Is like a Horizon Forbidden West. We talked
Yeah.
about that a little bit. But yeah, they put out a longer gameplay thing, and this looked pretty cool.
Yeah. Like last week, they put like four different, like at least four different, like pretty large like gameplay showcases of Horizon, Forbidden West, Far Cry 6, Dying Light 2, and the next sort of entry in the Dark Pictures anthology.
Yeah, and to start with Horizon Forbidden West, this is coming to PS4 as well,
Yep.
as well as God of War, which is something that was kind of like coming out of that PlayStation Studios blog post that we'll get to later. But smart idea. I'm sure they were doing that before they thought they were going to have less PS5s because of COVID, so it kind of paid off. Seems like so.
Yeah.
And they have such a large install base that it would make sense to put those on both.
Yeah, absolutely. Like there'd be no. It would just be, as like Holst says in the interview, it would just be bad business.
Yeah, yeah. Whereas before we saw like stuff that would just only come out on the new console, which is like Ratchet and Clank is doing that. But I'm sure I'm not sure if it's actually a cheaper game than like Horizon Forbidden West and God of War, but it seems like if you're putting more money into something, you might as well put it on like where you have an install base, because people still can't get PS5s are still not available regularly like at hand on like store shelves or online markets
I mean,
unless
the
you
other
want
thing
to
is,
pay like a gross extra $150.
the other thing is like we don't know like what Horizon is going to look like on the PS4. Every showcase we've seen is going to like every showcase we will see is going to be on the PlayStation 5.
Correct. So I'm sure this is probably going to run the best on Pro and like middling to okay to maybe it'll work. Like Tsushima runs very well on like a base PS4, which I was very happy about when that came out. All right. Next thing, yeah, the Far Cry 6 stuff came out. There's a bunch of guns in here that are just like you're like ramshackling parts of different stuff on your guns, which I thought was really cool. It looked like it reminded me of more of a like post-apocalyptic like gun
Yeah, like they're kind of
customization.
it's got that New Dawn sort of thing to it, right? Because that was a big part of like Horizon New Dawn, um, Far Cry New Dawn, which was that standalone, I guess, follow up to Far Cry 5, which was a post-apocalypse thing.
Yep. And Far Cry 6 taking place in the Caribbean island of Yara, which is inspired by Cuba. And Giancarlo Esposito is El Presidente. And I think if I'm looking at this correctly, is you get to choose your gender in the beginning, or are you
Yeah,
set as a female protagonist? Because I've seen
there's a
her
male
show up in this trailer.
protagonist.
Can you say that again?
There's an option to play as a male protagonist.
Okay, that's cool. Yeah, this game looks pretty. Also, probably next gen stuff, but I
Yeah.
didn't play 5 a lot, but I am kind of into like I could be into playing like a new Far Cry on like a next gen console. Haven't run very well. You get a dog.
Yeah, I mean, it's the thing with Far Cry. It's just I don't know if I've ever if it's sort of blend of its serious environment and the sort of the brutal
Non-political
enemies
nature that
you
it's now
fight.
political.
Then you get into all that stuff. Like, again, we can talk about that when we get to that article. But I don't know. This is just like this is a game that's like, yeah, you're gonna fight this terrible regime. It's like, well, how am I gonna fight it? You're gonna get a gun that shoots out vinyls, uh, that like vinyls of the Macarena.
Yeah,
You're gonna
this is just
decapitate people with
this
that.
is
It's
just
just
like Sunset Overdrive jokes.
yeah, except it doesn't like look as fun as Sunset Overdrive.
No, but I think they a lot with these games they've pushed more to like pushing the boundary between like having serious stuff and then having like their jokey open world like causing mayhem, which is kind of like the stuff that like Ghost Recon Wildlands and Breakpoint was doing as well. And I think, they've always had weird side missions. Even 3, you go fucking you're tripping on mushrooms running around. So, yeah.
Yeah, and it paints like a different like sort of like a really different tone from like 5, which from my recollection was just this really sort of serious and dour narrative where any and all chaos just comes from the fact the open world is constantly trying to kill you.
Yeah. Yeah. That's happening a lot. Well, I was gonna save this for later. I didn't move the stuff around when you threw these YouTube clips in here for this stuff. But yeah, I forgot those had come up. But okay, so the Far Cry 6 narrative director Navid Kavari wrote in a blog post on Monday talking about like, it's our games are political, like Ubisoft always wants to like doesn't want to start controversy and like go with that kind of thing, but to quote him, it's a story about a modern revolution, saying that the action game world includes hard, relevant discussions about fascism, imperialism, human rights, and more within the context of Yara. And then he says what the game won't do is offer a simplified binary political statement about the current climate of Cuba, which may or may not happen. There's what you want the game to be when it comes out, and then there's like the actuality of what it is when it's coming out. But
Yeah,
I'm curious to see if this has like a little more stuff in it, you know?
I mean, I'm not super like confident in Far Cry as a property to handle any of these things with grace. Like before 5 came out, we were getting a lot of discussions about how, like the team behind it had gone in and talked with like cult historians and like people who had like investigators who had studied cults and, sort of honed in on the fact that the thing that makes cults appealing to people is the social pressure people feel when like in those environments. They weren't like talking about like mind control, like mind controlling drugs and all that such. But then you play Far Cry 5, and the whole thing that makes Joseph Seed being the antagonist, the sort of religious antagonist of that game, the whole thing that makes him a really his cult so like powerful and so like huge is that he's using mind controlling drugs.
Yeah, and I think that ends up being just like a plot device that they can have more people running at you, shooting at you.
Yeah, it's so they can justify you having an endless open world of people to kill. So like I
Yeah.
don't, and I understand this is like a different director, probably a pretty different team. Um, but like also this is the game where like you are running around with a pet alligator and again shooting like with a gun that fires vinyls that are playing the Macarena as you fire them. I'm at best skeptical, I'll say.
Yeah. I think you're allowed to have both. If they don't do it well, then, you know, it's not like a good way to do it. But if they do it good, if they do it in a way that's like able to straddle that line and has like a good story, then that would be like a story of success and someone doing that well. It's a hard line to
Yeah,
go back and forth between like
yeah,
having these comedic stuff and then having like this serious like political like
yeah,
because most far like the last couple Far Cry games have been like about like insurrection. At least like 5 and 6 were about like political uprising and like overtoppling like
well,
a
four too.
regime. Oh yeah, and 2, yeah, I forgot about
Well,
2.
four. I don't know about two. I haven't played two.
Okay, yeah, yeah, 4 and 6, and then 5 is like the cultist stuff, and then there's like a lot of stuff like that game came out around like the Trump election too, and was very like
Well, yeah,
that is a
that's
very um, rural America like country vibes taken to the extreme to like a
yeah.
certain degree, but I
Well, they
think
knew what they were selling
they're
in five.
and there is stuff in 5 that I think it does very well to like show the nature of like people who live in those type of areas. But then there's the weird shit where there's there's like drugs controlling everybody, and that there's just like no government organization would like let an area this big be overrun by like a cult.
Yeah, yeah. Like there are moments in five, like when you're interacting with characters like Nick, Nick being a pilot who you can help out, and then he'll come basically drop bombs on your enemies. Also, characters like Grace, who is a sort of a sniper who you meet while she's defending like a church where her father is buried because Seed's cult is going to come and desecrate it. You know, that kind of thing. And I think like um, with six, most of my feelings towards whether or not it succeeds in telling any sort of interesting story about revolution is really going to depend on how it handles the narrative of like its main character, because this is the first time since like four you're playing as a main, like you're playing as an established character. um like you are playing as the character of Danny Rojas, um who is like notably a orphan, like someone who is orphaned by violence perpetrated by the state. um So, like, my feelings as to whether or not this game is able to successfully sort of thread that needle is going to depend on how it handles the narrative around Danny, um, Giancarlo Esposito's character, and also his son, who I imagine is like secretly like Danny's little brother or something.
Whoa, plot twist.
It seems like the most obvious thing.
Yeah, I'll agree with you on that. What else we got? We got this Dying Light 2 thing came out. It's Dying Light 2 Stay Human. Gotta
Yeah,
love having human in
Dying
your
Light 2 reemerges.
Yep, reemerges after being in headlines about like bad workplace controversies and shit. That sucks cuz I love this things that like these developers are doing with these games for like open world environments and like exploration and like
Yeah.
creativity, but it sucks to hear about that about a workplace.
Yeah, and I guess it should be noted that like Dying Light 2 is also like, well, the first time we see this game, it is being promoted by Chris Avellone. Chris Avellone being a like at the time storied like narrative director in games from the days of like Black Isle, so things like Planescape, Torment, the older Fallout games, and then like later Pillars of Eternity and like the DLC for Fallout New Vegas. And like they're kind of using like Chris Avellone as a name to promote this game and its writing, and then like a year later we realized that Chris Avellone is like sexually assaulted like several women.
Yep. Hey, bad times happen when you attach people's names to
Or
stuff and that
I
comes out.
don't I don't know if assault is the right phrasing. It I will simply sort of ice it down as like sexual misconduct.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Um, which that sucks. But I mean, besides that, Dying Light 2's coming. They didn't have a release date on this. There's just 2021.
oh, do they not?
This doesn't take place in Europe anymore, does it? I can't.
No, the release date is September 7th, 2021.
Oh, it's September 7th. All
It's
right.
like at the very end of this 8-minute trailer.
Let's see if I look up Dying Light 2 location. It's in Europe still. Because I remember the first game's kind of like in Turkey slash like the Mediterranean.
I thought the first game
Lots
was in
eating
like
lots of
Brazil.
baklava. No,
Oh,
I don't think
I
so.
I didn't play that first one, so I'm not gonna sort of claim to have any authority on it.
If it is, but yeah, it's in Turkey. It's in
Okay.
Haran, Turkey. Because there's like a football game going on there, and everyone got stuck there pretty much.
Hmm.
But
Oh,
that game was a really fun take into like while I was playing it, my boss was from Turkey, and I would ask him a bunch of stuff about it, and I was showing him like gameplay and like stuff, and he was like, "Oh, that's really cool. That looks like Turkey."
that's dope.
Yeah,
Yeah, this is like of the like first person zombie brawlers that were out at the time, like Dying Light and I think Dead Island. Uh, Dying Light like struck me as the more just enjoyable one, considering like how the free flowing nature of movement in that as opposed to Dead Island. But I never got around to Dying Light.
yeah. Dying Light is like I would compare it to like the Dark Souls to the Demon Souls, whereas like Demon Souls is like Dead Island, and then this studio went off to make a game that's very similar but with like a different publisher, pretty much. And then like Dead Island Riptide came out from like a different developer. They're they're cool. I really they do a lot of you get like the first game had like drop kicks and like you would get a grappling hook halfway through, and it was just
Yeah.
like a lot of first person parkour, which worked very well. I don't know how they did it, but I love the parkour in that game. I when you get good at it, you do not fall off of stuff. You kind of know exactly how to like do everything. Let's see, Dark Pictures Anthology. I don't know too much about this. House of Ashes. Do you know what the
Yeah.
story is on
So
this
this
DLC?
is
Oh,
this is probably gonna this is a real mixed bag. So Dark Pictures Anthology is this sort of is this anthology series of like horror narratives by the people who made Until Dawn. Um, this being the third of this anthology. The first one being Man of Medan, and the second one being Little Hope. House of Ashes is a story where you play as a sort of a squad of, I believe, Marines, but U.S. military forces during the initial invasion of Iraq in the early 2000s. As we sort of invaded that country with the belief that they had nuclear weapons. Um, so you play as like one of like as several members of this squad as they sort of this operation starts. They go to look for nuclear materials. They don't find any because there never were any. Um, and then I guess at some point you get into a firefight and then you fall into some very big hole that turns out there be monsters in this hole, baby.
yeah. I thoroughly enjoy the cheesy like B movie that do this where they just have like a squad of military guys who are like thinking they're in conflict or one thing or another, and it turns out to be like a horror movie. Like Monster Hunter does this very badly, but I'm trying to think of the one that did this really well. I think it was The Hills Have Eyes 2.
Yeah.
It's just like a military unit who are getting murdered by the people of the hills, and
Yeah.
they're horrible. I think that one is like a military training exercise, but
Yeah, and like
that stuff can be interesting.
I don't like I don't think this gameplay demo shows the monster in like any monsters in any great detail. It seems like multiple. Um, they kind of have this like vibe and like speed that I would associate with like that people I think would recognize with the monsters from A Quiet Place, right? Like there's a moment about 6 minutes into this demo where they're trying to help like a wounded pilot, I think, and one of the dudes tells this character Clarice to be on the lookout, and she just says for what? And as she begins walking to the dude, she just gets yoinked by something from the
Damn.
shadow. She gets like pulled
Damn.
away very quickly. It's I don't know. The subject matter is a bit much, but I think this could be an entertaining play.
Yeah, it's a weird place to set it, but I hope they do something interesting with it. I hadn't played the other ones, but they usually put them on sale before this one comes out, so I might
Yeah,
pop in and mess with the other ones a little bit.
yeah. Well, like Man of Medan started out with like a sort of a prequel to um, like the sort of the inciting incident there is that to my understanding is that like American World War II forces like actively took something from like mainland Japan, and that caused like some incident to occur on the boat that they were stealing this or that they were moving these items in,
Interesting.
which is that sort of thing. And I don't know much about anything regarding Little Hope. um,
Yeah, yeah. All right, let's see. So okay, so we had this other thing coming out. It was a Q&A with Herman Holst. He is the head of PlayStation Studios, the senior director. No, this is Sid Schumann's the senior director. Yeah, he's the head of PlayStation Studios, and they kind of were going over what kind of Sony's like next year is looking like. Um, they didn't have these summarized, but it was basically God of War is being pushed to 2021. And it's coming out on PS4. Um, the Sony Asobi Studio is going to be ramping up to do more Astrobot stuff, kind of, or a line of like more kid-friendly franchises going on. Gran Turismo 7? I think it's 7, because the last one was Sport on PS4 and it was 6. Is that's going to be a PS4 game and a PS5 game as well. And then, yeah, Horizon and God of War are both on PS4. And then they are going to look more into putting out their stuff on Sony, because that has like done very well for them with like Horizon Zero Dawn and Death Stranding and Days Gone. I think Death Stranding isn't
PC.
them technically, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Death Stranding is not something that they own. That was something that was made in partnership with like another with a coach, the new Kojima Productions.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, it's a real fluff piece. But it would be, of course, it would be. This is hosted by the PlayStation blog.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's PR pretty much, but it does have some like new bits of information that
yeah,
like I'm all for give Asobi the money. I want Astrobot games every 2 years, maybe every 3 years. Who knows? We'll see.
yeah. I mean, there's not. I don't know. Like considering like the trend of Sony first party games, like they talk about at least having at least like what 25 titles in development they're not it's sort of that he's not going to say anything about, and just I don't know, for this kind of like announcement to generate any kind of excitement, I kind of need to know that these aren't just going to be these heavily produced like single player narratives that they just love making so much of, in like in the same usually in like a very recognizable style, like that sort of Sony in-house style that they
Hmm.
have.
Well, I mean, most of this single player stuff, they're usually good games and they're fun. Um, I think yeah, this
Sure.
is like a quick look ahead, and they probably have like a bunch more stuff that they're like messing with,
Yeah. Like
and that they're kind of like producing as well.
I'm interested in seeing like what like Sony led like multiplayer stuff looks like for the PlayStation 5.
Well, they are doing one of those. I don't remember what studio it is. That one of them was doing like a Destiny like multiplayer thing. So fingers crossed.
Cool. You're gonna get 9 different looter shooters from Sony.
Great. Ready for it? PlayStation planning
Let's do it.
expansion into mobile games and apps as well. Hey, as it turns out, mobile market very big. I could see more stuff coming in there. Dude, did you I don't know if you remember this. It might be an old cut, but this was like from 2007. They had like a mobile game for Metal Gear Solid 4 that was just like a sniping
Yes.
game.
Yeah. That was like it was either like a sniping game or some sort of like rail shooter.
Yeah, I thought that was funny. I'm curious what this actually means. I remember this isn't the first time they were messing with mobile. They put out that was it called Xperia? I think it was called Xperia.
He's like
Is the phone they put out
yeah.
that was like a PSP Go
Go, yeah.
2.
That version.
Yeah,
That
and then
iteration.
they still make the Xperia, but it looks like a normal phone now. But the first one had like you could download games from their shop. It was like they launched with like Crash Bandicoot and some other stuff, and it was really cool. I wouldn't have bought it because I'm not crazy, but that was a neat call. And it didn't have the Xperia that launched the first one didn't have like the PSP thumbsticks. It had like little. It was like a touchpad sensor
Yeah, like the
that
sort of
would
trackpads.
emulate like yeah. It's wild time. I would buy that now though. I'm not gonna lie. I think that's like a interesting way to get like a controller on a phone. But most of the stuff you just bolt your
I mean, I would like
controller to
I would
the
like a
phone.
phone that feels good in my pocket. Like I
Yeah.
can't say the current iPhones do.
Oh, just gotta stop wearing skinny jeans so much.
Yeah, I need to show off my glutes.
Your glutes, your hams.
Started using the tread climber again.
Nice.
I need people to see that I'm putting the time in.
Yep. Bet. So I'm curious what they're gonna do with smartphone stuff. I'm never against it. If most likely it'll be free to $3.
Yeah, I mean, probably free to play, that lovely little statement. I mean,
Yes, free to play.
this could go anywhere, like you have a lot of, like I know EA does a lot of, like, I don't want to say character brawlers, but you have stuff like their Star Wars mobile game. I'm pretty sure they had a Dragon Age one at some point, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, and even Warhammer has like they put out an auto chess game that's 40K. It's really weird looking.
Yeah. So like there's definitely a template for sort of adapting properties um and
I mean,
IP
shit.
into that type of game.
Nintendo has been killing it with Niantic. Like Pokemon Go is a storm to be reckoned with. But that's because Nintendo has one of the most like recognizable IPs under their
Yeah,
like
like
umbrella.
again, like Pokemon is just and yeah, a very recognizable IP, and like Pokemon Go is like the basic promise of Pokemon that we haven't been able to actually mess with until now. Um
Yeah, Pokemon Go 2 win.
yeah, I'm curious to see. what these games will actually look like, though.
Yeah, it could be anything. I found this really interesting story off
Bloodborne
of The
2
Verge. It's not Bloodborne 2,
on
sorry.
mobile.
On mobile, yeah, only on mobile, running at 60 frames, but it's PS1
Yeah,
graphics. That's what you're getting.
and I,
Um,
dude, yes, please, actually,
yeah,
yes.
I think this was an article coming out of Vice, out of their Motherboard Gaming, is that about the largest video game cheating empire. It was a cheat making group known as Chicken Drumstick, who made more than $70 million selling cheats on PUBG Mobile.
Well, Chicken Drumstick is a name given to them by like police, if I'm not mistaken, or is that? I might have read a bit of this whole article. Let's see. Tencent authorities refer to the cheating operation as Chicken Drumstick because of the
Okay.
icon of the cheat, which Catfish said was inspired by Winner Winner Chicken Dinner.
Yeah, which is like the PUBG thing. But I think that's pretty wild that that is something that was like happening, even mostly around like PUBG Mobile, because that's where everybody, everyone has a phone, and you know, so a lot of that coming out of. Yeah, it was a Chinese organization targeting multiple games, and that's pretty wild
Yeah,
that this was going on.
yeah, and it starts out and like the sort of the base of the cheat is an aimbot, but it is also allows you to see through walls, like see outlines of other players through walls. And the sort of the larger motherboard feature on this, like, sort of talks with the their subject named sort of identified as Catfish, um, because he's the current the target of a manhunt, so he's not going to give out his full name. It sort of goes through how the start is him making that pretty simple cheat, but in order to continue to make money off of it and keep it sort of around, he needed to begin hiring other developers to constantly work around the anti-cheating, like, sort of algorithms and such programs that Tencent is constantly updating PUBG Mobile with. And so this becomes just an insanely large operation that is making around at its highest 70 million, according to this motherboard article, and is at this point paused because two of Catfish's closest collaborators have both been apprehended by police.
Yeah, so I thought that was a pretty interesting thing that was coming up. This is like a longer feature
Yeah. Oh yeah.
that
It's
went up on Motherboard. When did this come out? This came out
it's coming out the 1st of June.
June 1st. Yeah.
Yeah. It's a really interesting feature, especially if you want to just juxtapose it with like how very seriously the state and authorities take sort of issues that affect their bottom line more so than people have ever been able to get police to sort of seriously respond to threats of violence against players, like very credible threats of violence against players and people within communities.
Yeah. Yeah. As it turns out, you get a corporation with money involved, and police act a lot more. And I mean, that's in China as well.
Well, I mean, that happens here too.
Yeah, but I thought yeah, no, I know it happens here too. I just mean that was like the police response in China doing
Yeah, I
that.
mean, yeah, like this is specifically the police response in China, but like also like Riot has like specified later in this article, Riot has like successfully sued like several people uh,
Wow.
who release cheats for their game, that kind of thing.
Yeah. Other stuff. The Balan Wonderland world creator unexpectedly leaves Square Enix. This is kind of like I don't know. This is kind of a joke title from IGN, because I think he had been out on Twitter being like, "Hey, if this game doesn't do well, this is gonna be my last game." And I think if they had made this like a $20 or $30 game, it probably would have sold way better. Like I could see people picking this up as like a joke. I don't know. This game is like a nightmare, like a drug fueled nightmare of a game. It's so weird.
Well, I mean, this game had no, like, I can't think of any particularly like positive critical reception this game received. So I don't know if like a reduced price, even a reduced price, would have been able to save this game.
Yeah, it could have. Who knows? But this, yeah, I thought this that was a weird game that Screenix put money into. Um, kind of, it's got big Mario vibes and doesn't really do anything with them. The other director that left was the Cyberpunk director, and they just got a new one. This is coming from May 28th. Is
Direct.
Gabriel Amatangelo took over, and I don't know how to say this other game, but Matsu's, I don't know how to say his name. Their old director left.
Is it Mateus?
Yeah, it's Mateus Thomas. I can't read right now, Austin. I'm sorry.
Well, I mean, it's just like looking at like Polish in English just is it can be a bit much because we are trained to like pronounce like I think I'm trying to talk about like the specificities of like language and I just don't know enough about language in general to say that and
Yeah.
I think that
Okay,
kind of
so
highlights my point.
that's all good. The new director, he was from Dragon Age Inquisition's expansion, Star Wars: The Old Republic, and I think there was another story that I saw that was saying that like 60% of the CD Projekt Red staff are still working on Cyberpunk to like get it up to like a higher standard, which
Yeah.
may or may not be a good thing. I don't know. It depends. I doubt they are. I hope they're just working these people 40-hour work weeks. I hope they are not going over that, but who's to say? I don't have a hotline going directly over to them.
Yeah, I mean it's I don't know. Like the future for 2077 is very odd, and like when we talk about it being put in a better state, like I started another playthrough of 2077 and like right now like my playthrough is almost kind of stuck because I can't call anyone on my phone because like my phone window
Oops.
like I'm on a place where my phone window won't close because it's just stuck with me talking to the Delamain character.
F in the chat,
So I just have
boys.
this like
Yeah.
AI face staring at me all times. It's like I guess I'll
Yeah,
just leave this alone for now.
I was thinking about starting up a campaign on that too. I might get through some stuff and get back to that. My HDMI cord does not want to stay in my monitor, as it turns out. The other stuff I got is we kind of talked about the Marvel thing already, so I'm just gonna skip over that. Is that Dead Island, Saints Row, and more Deep Silver series won't be at E3 2021, so we'll have to wait to see with them. I hope Saints Row 5, please. Please do something really cool.
What is that even gonna be?
I don't know. Just
Like,
an I hope they go back to like the Saints Row 3
I would
stuff.
argue like maybe two. Like, I think three is sort of that point where you are like really straddling the line between like what direction that series is gonna go, and then like in the ridiculous like super ridiculous or like the sort of just like stylish like gang story. And I don't know if
Yes.
three
Yes.
does that line particularly well most of the time, and I know four certainly doesn't because in four you're just the president of the United States.
Yeah,
Um,
four is just a crackdown game. It's
yeah,
just Saints Row with a crackdown skin on it.
yeah. So I mean, I don't know if Saints Row 5 comes out and it's like, hey, we're mostly going to be doing like Saints Row 2 like style game, I'd be like, okay, all right, we can see where this goes.
Yeah, could be interesting. They could go either direction. I hope they keep with the co-op because I know that was something that they did that in 1, 2, and 3s and 4. They've made most of their games co-op. They did not with that last one that came out.
Agents of Mayhem?
Yeah, I think that would have made that at least a better game. I don't know
Well,
if it would have
yeah,
sold better, but
that should have been like a three-player like game. Like it should have been like a three-player
yeah.
co-op game.
Like you look at the trailer of that like initial pitch of that game, and it is
Yeah.
a bunch of different characters doing different abilities. It's like, oh, this is probably a co-op game. And it's like, no, you just switch between these people.
Switch between the three.
I'm like, excuse me? What?
Yeah.
That doesn't sound like a good idea.
Yeah, and it's a shame because they all like, from what I played of Agents of Mayhem, like they all coordinated well together. Like I could see playing with two other people and setting up some really cool combos with these characters, but it's something that's really hard to do when you are juggling all three of those characters by yourself.
Yeah. All right, the last story I got before we go to for the end of the episode is that Steam now lets developers team up on game bundles. So kind of having like more games in like a, like a humble bundle kind of thing, or like itch.io organized their bundle for racial justice and equality, which raised $8 million last year.
Yeah.
Those are just examples of it, but I'm curious what they could do with this kind of stuff.
Yeah, because it's going to be like, because they talk about being able to collect titles under common themes. And the thing is like, I don't know. I think this is something that will be like leveraged by indie devs quite a bit, I could see. Um, Especially when you like look at the sort of rise of like showcases like the Guerrilla Collective, which just had like a 4-hour like game showcase the other day and showed off like a just a large amount of some really interesting looking games. Um, I don't think we're gonna see like like a huge like Steam bundle for for something like racial justice or Palestinian aid like you get on itch.io, which by the way just launched a bundle for Palestinian aid that's like $5 1,000 games, that type of deal.
Is that on itch.io?
Yeah, it's on itch.io.
I'll probably go ahead and support that too.
Yeah, it's good stuff. And I don't know if I'm interested in seeing how developers on Steam will leverage this functionality. I don't think it's going to be on the level of like itch, but at the very least, it will be an interesting way to see like indie developers sort of continue to create a space for themselves on what is a storefront that is far too busy.
Definitely. Well, that's gonna do it for. Actually, it was gaming news. I said we were gonna do gaming impressions at the stop.
We said we were gonna do impressions,
and then I loaded up the news articles.
Halfway
so I was
through,
like, whatever.
like halfway through, I was like, wait, didn't we say we were gonna do impressions?
Yeah, that's okay. I'll just do it after. I'm gonna go make a sandwich. We'll be back.
Yeah.
I'm on Travis23 Doyle on Twitter.
If you need me on Twitter, you can find me at PUBG TWO.
Yeah, we shall be right back.
We'll just start the actual impressions episode by saying it's news.
Correct.
We gotta
flip right. It's a bit now. All right.